You're working hard to keep your clients happy and get them amazing results, but that comes at a huge opportunity cost, and that opportunity cost is the growth of your business. You're so dialed in and dedicated to your client work that it leaves almost no time for growing your business. And you forgot that your role, the main thing, your main responsibility as a business owner is to actually grow your business. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to both be an amazing service provider, but at the same time, still make the time to grow your business. And I know this because for the last 10 years, I've been a marketing consultant. I've made my clients over $40 million in sales, which is what got me the ClickFunnels 10X award. I scaled 2 of my clients to 8 figures, but while doing all of this busy work, I still make the time to promote my business, like for example, recording this YouTube video. So without any further ado, let's dive in and I'll give you the most practical tips that you can apply starting today. And I would like to preface this video by telling a quick story I read about 10 years ago in Robert Kiyosaki's book, Poor Dad and Rich Dad. And in case you didn't know, Robert Kiyosaki is a best-selling author. He writes a lot on topics of business and real estate selling and stuff like that. And one day he was giving a show at a radio station, and then after the show, one of the hosts, who was also writing a book, asked him about the secrets of becoming a best-selling author. And then Robert Kiyosaki said, if you'd like to become a best-selling author, then take a sales course. And obviously the host was kind of confused because the host expected some sort of advice on persuasive writing, but that's not the reality of promoting your business. Because like Robert Kiyosaki pointed out, he said, I'm a best-selling author. I'm not the best author. I'm the best-selling author. And the selling component is key when it comes to promoting yourself, which leads to the most important point of this video, which is the quality of your service, no matter how great it is, does not necessarily equal to your popularity. And to be in demand, to be popular, people have to know about you. And in this day and age of the internet, which has been around since the beginning of the 21st century, if you're not on the internet, then your business practically does not exist. And more so, I'm going to double down on the statement and say that if you don't appear on the internet almost every day, then your business does not exist. So you've got to be atop of the periphery of your buyers and essentially pop up in their news feeds, whatever social media platform that is, be it YouTube, LinkedIn, Google, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, but you have to pop up every day to be at the top of their periphery to basically remind them, number one, that they have a problem, and then that you're the best service provider and the best solution provider for their problems. Now let's dive into the actual practical tips that I'm going to recommend that you make. There's going to be 3 things that you'll have to change. And number 1 is your mindset. And the biggest mindset shift that you can make today is this. You have to take yourself as your most important client. Sounds simple, right? But yet it's so genius. And I've personally been in this trap many times. And if you're watching this, I'm assuming you have the same problem where you work, let's say, with 3, 4, 5, 10, maybe even more clients. And then even the little time, the little spare time that you have, you still choose to put your head in the sand and keep delivering more client work. And the funny part is that this client work almost never stops. There's never enough client work. And some of you might also say that, hey, Nazim, but isn't that a bit egoistical, right? To kind of like put yourself above or before your clients. Well, let me ask you a question. What if you don't promote your services? If you don't promote your services, then your client is not going to find out about your solution. And if they won't find out about your solution, then they won't be able to use the great service that you offer. So essentially, not promoting your services is a disservice to your clients. And I didn't intend a pun at this point, but that's one of the most important things you have to remember. So let's say if you're on an agency, right, and you know that you work 40, 50 hours a week, and that covers your work for about 10 clients. The easiest thing you can do starting today is to have only 9 clients, and then say that the spot for the 10th client is going to be me. And I'm never going to take that extra 10th client because that seat, that spot is forever taken by my own business. And I can bring myself as an example because I run a marketing consulting service. It's not a one-to-many kind of service. I work with my clients hand on hand, one-on-one. It's a very intensive service. And I know that in the, say, 40, 50 hours a week that I work, I cannot take more than 6 clients. But guess what? I only ever work with 5 clients at a time because I still reserve that 6th spot for my own business, for deploying my own marketing strategies, like for example, the same video that you're watching on YouTube. I consciously make the time. And another cool statistic that I can bring to you to convince you finally is coefficient of performance. It's basically how much impact the task has versus the time you spend on it. So let's say you commit to investing 5 hours a week on working on your business. If you take these 5 hours and spend them on client delivery, it's going to produce 10 to 12% of coefficient of performance. Granted, let's say you have a couple of clients, let's say you have like 6-7 clients, and you work that extra 5 hours on client delivery, it's gonna just give you 10% edge. Because you already invest so much time on your client delivery, it's going to get them results, but it's not going to really push your business forward. On the other hand, if you invest these 5 hours into growing your business and you're literally spending 0 time right now, the returns can be amazing. We're talking about 200-300% returns on that time investment. Get it? Because you already spent so much time on client work, any more additional fractional few hours that you spend is not going to get you the same level of impact that you're going to spend on growing your business, which probably, if you're watching this video, you're doing none at all. So now let's talk about how to actually plan for your marketing and how to choose the right marketing strategy for you, and then how to basically commit to one. Well, number one, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, because in my videos, I talk about the best marketing and sales strategies for you if you run a coaching, consulting, agency, or any sort of online service-based business. So that's step number one. Step number two, guys, I don't want to make this video about choosing the right marketing strategy. That can be like a whole different manifesto and a whole different video where I can talk for an hour. And it's probably going to be the most efficient thing you can do today is to look at your competition, look at the 3 of your best competitors, but also make sure that you don't look at the top dogs, right? Let's say if you're making 100K per year, look at similar businesses that make 100K per year, or maybe the ones that make like 250K per year. Don't go and look at $20 million businesses, because the marketing strategies that they deploy is not going to be relevant to you. So look at businesses that are kind of like at your level, or preferably even a little bit above you, and then just look at what they're doing. Take 3 competitors, audit their marketing strategy, go on their website, go on their social media, see what they're posting, see maybe they have some sort of webinar funnel, maybe they run ads, which you can easily check. If you go Google, Facebook, ad marketplace, on that website, you can go and actually spy on their name and spy their websites. Due diligence, it's probably going to take you 1 or 2 days, but then you'll basically come up with like a few options that you can deploy. And then what you should do is you should pick one option and then commit to it for 3 months, right? And when I mean commit, you really have to commit to it. You say, I'm gonna do this thing for 3 months. Even if I get 0 results, I'm gonna still keep doing it. Now, how to pick the best marketing strategy for you, right? Ideally, you should pick something that you enjoy and it also plays into your strength. So let me give again myself as an example and why I chose YouTube marketing and creating YouTube videos as a part of my marketing strategy. See, I've always been the client delivery guy, which is why I'm recording this video for you. I've been there, and I've always done great work for my clients, which is why I've generated over $40 million in sales. I'm not saying this to boast. I'm just showing you that I've always gone that extra mile for my clients. But then at some point I kind of stopped and I looked around at my competitors that were literally making double, triple, sometimes even quadruple the money I was making. And I looked at their websites and I realized that, hey, their case studies are a lot more conservative than mine. A lot of times they had half the amount of case studies that I had, yet they were making more money. And I realized that, hey, I really have to start putting myself out there. Now I didn't want to undermine my quality of service, but I also realized that something had to be changed. And what I did was I researched my best competitors and I realized that they're not doing all the same thing. Some of them are doing YouTube marketing, some of them are doing paid ads. Let's say they have webinar funnels and they drive Facebook traffic to it. Some of them are on LinkedIn. And I thought to myself, which one do I take? Running ads didn't make sense for me because I work with only 5 clients at a time. Okay, I started an ad campaign and I'll have to finish it very soon because again, I work with 5 clients at a time. Also, by looking at my past case studies, I realized that my best clients came to me from word of mouth or from watching my content. So ads was not a very good option for me. Then I looked on LinkedIn. but I wasn't really using LinkedIn, and I still don't use LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn profile, but I don't post on it. There's some messages there that I haven't read, in a couple of weeks, so I'm not a very active LinkedIn user. Then I looked on Instagram, and I avoid Instagram because every time I'm on it for extended period of time, I get depression. I don't know why, don't ask me, but it's just the way I'm built. But then I realized, YouTube, I use YouTube a lot. I've been watching at least 1 to 2 hours of content a day on YouTube for the last 15 years, since I was 16 years old. And I said, you know what? I like YouTube. Let's give YouTube a try. I also felt like I had the personality for it. I don't mind being on camera and talking to you guys. I really enjoy it. So I said, okay, let me start small. Let me commit to doing 1 video a week. And then I realized that to plan, record, and edit the video takes me about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. So I started posting videos. I posted 1 video a week, and then over time, I basically started to up my videos as well. I was posting now twice a week, and after about 2-3 months, the strategy started paying off. I started getting consultation calls, and people basically started coming to me, paying me thousands of dollars, and barely asking me what I was selling. They just wanted to buy it because they watched hours upon hours upon hours of my content. But again, it wouldn't have happened had I not started recording that content and dedicating time for it many, many months ago. So the consistency obviously paid off. And then guess what happened? I stopped. Once I had my hands full of client work, I literally regressed back to being the same thing, which is the client delivery guy. I said, screw it, I have enough client work, and I just stopped doing YouTube videos. And guess what happened? The client requests stopped coming in, and I was back at square one, which makes it an amazing lesson for you, which is consistency. And obviously now back on YouTube, I'm recording video for you guys, and I learned this very great lesson. Now, moving on to the next part, which is how to actually make time to implement your marketing strategy and make sure that you don't regress back like I did. So let's not repeat my mistake. All right, so there's 5 simple rules when it comes to scheduling your own marketing activities that you should not ever break. But the good thing is that they're very, very simple. So number 1, everything starts from picking one day when you do your marketing. I know there's a lot of advice on the internet. They say, hey, try to do a little bit of work every day. So commit to doing 1 hour a day. But I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it just never worked for me. I liked focused work, focused deep work. And that's the same thing that I recommend to my clients. To pick one day, usually Fridays are very good because Fridays are, for a lot of industries and a lot of businesses, they're quite relaxed. So Friday is your get shit done day for your business, right? That means you don't have any client work. You still show up at the office or show up at work. You're ready to roll for whatever, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours that you're going to work for that day, but you don't have any client work. You don't open Slack. You barely open Gmail. And what you do is for a whole day, you strategize on what's going to be the next marketing steps for your business. You create content if that's what you committed to. You set up automations so that content gets posted for the whole next week automatically. You do all of that good stuff, right? So pick one day. I highly recommend it. And a lot of times you may not even need the full day. Maybe you just do, say, 9 a.m. to lunch, right? And then that's like your focused full 4 or 5 hours that you focus on your work, but it's got to be a dedicated day to it, right? And you cannot schedule ever anything on top. Now, rule number 2 is to eat the frog, right? Brian Tracy has a very good book. It's called Eat the Frog. And it's basically about getting the most important and most difficult thing out of your action or out of your to-do list first thing in the morning, right? Because again, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're the client delivery guy or the client delivery gal. You're gonna naturally gravitate towards doing client work and find it as the path of least resistance. And the path of most resistance is doing marketing strategy and market and promotion work for your business. So that's the frog, and you should eat it. And you should do it as the very first thing in the morning. Sometimes I would keep, back in the day, self-promotion work and working on my own business for the evening hours, but it almost never worked out because as soon as I started with client work in the morning, and by the time it was time to switch to my own marketing, my head would be so occupied with client work that I would not switch off. Or I would start doing my own work, But then I realized and I remembered that there's one more email that I have to finish, that I have to send to a client, or because I started communicating with the client already, I didn't set my boundaries. The client emailed me and he was obviously expecting an answer, so I would have to go back and email them. So my head would be preoccupied. But if you start first thing in the morning, have your coffee, whatever, go for a run, and then you basically do the most important thing in your business. Again, as a business owner, your goal is to grow your business, then fantastic, right? So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3, schedule it. My very first mentor always told me, what does not get scheduled does not get accomplished. And I cannot say this lightly. You have to put the block into your calendar. And you have to do 2 more things so that it works out. Number 1, you have to make it a recurring event, which means it recurs and it happens every week. And if you cannot repeat the same day and the same kind of like work hours week after week, I would highly recommend to pick a time and find a day and a time block that works for you on a recurring basis, because then if it doesn't and you have to figure out a new time every week, at some point you're going to slip up again and basically forget about all that stuff. But if you make it a recurring event, that's going to work just fine. And then number 2, you have to again make this rule for yourself. You cannot schedule anything on top of it. You have to go to a doctor's appointment. Well, okay, doctor's appointment may be pushing it a little bit, if it's an emergency. But unless it's an emergency, you don't schedule anything on top. Just think about it this way. Say you have a very important client call. Would you schedule anything on top of that? No, because it's an important thing. Well, why don't you treat your own business much the same way? So again, going back to my own personal example, I have 2 dedicated days that I spend on my marketing strategy and I spend on YouTube. So Monday is client calls and client delivery. Tuesday is again client delivery, no calls. I try to schedule all of my calls for Mondays. Tuesday is just deep work, banging out client work. Wednesday, when it comes to my YouTube videos, it's an ideation day. So what I do is I do research, I look at my competitors, I look for relevant keywords, and I try to basically come up with video ideas, and I come up with like thumbnail ideas, and I lay the groundwork for the videos I'm going to create. Now, Thursday is again for client delivery or some odd calls here and there, and then Friday is my recording day. Now, as I'm recording this, today's Friday, and I'm recording. I just woke up, went for a quick walk so that my face is less bloated. I had a coffee, I had a thick, nice bowl of oatmeal, and I'm ready. I'm rock and rolling. And the only thing I'm gonna do today is record content, and then I'm gonna send it off to my video editor and done. So that's my example, but that's it, guys. It's that simple. Number 1, change your mindset. Treat yourself as the most important client, and do not take extra client load if it's going to interfere and eat into the time that you dedicate on your own marketing. Number 2, pick a marketing strategy, preferably something that basically the next level above you competitor does, and then pick something that lays the closest to your heart or that you can implement. If you don't like being in front of video, then do cold emailing. If you don't like doing emails, then post content on LinkedIn, whatever. Pick something that works for you. You might have to test and experiment, but eventually you're going to find something. And then number 3, make it a recurring event in your calendar. Pick one day, one time block that you can fully commit to, make it a recurring event, and do not plan anything on top of it, just like you wouldn't plan anything on top of a client meeting. Now, if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to watch my videos on the best marketing strategies that you can deploy as a service-based business to get high-ticket clients. It's going to be pinned down in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.